My name is Madeline Whitmore. I was 32 years old and 34 weeks pregnant when my mother stood up at my own baby shower, lifted a little gold key in front of 50 guests and said, "Vanessa deserves a room for a baby this family can actually celebrate." Then my younger sister smiled at my trauma's stomach and said, "Your baby won't need a nursery if no one in this family accepts him." The room went quiet for half a second. Then somebody laughed. Not loudly at first, just a nervous little sound from my aunt near the dessert table. Then another laugh came from one of my mother's church friends. Then my cousin looked down at her champagne glass like she wished she had never come. My husband Daniel stood up so fast his chair legs scraped the stone patio, but I touched his wrist before he could say anything. I did not scream. I did not cry. I did not grab the key back. I just looked at the hospital bracelet on Vanessa's wrist. Yellow band, black print, diagnostic imaging prefix, not maternity, not obstetrics, not prenatal monitoring. That was the moment I realized my sister was not pregnant. She was performing, and my family had built an entire crime around the performance. Before I tell you what happened in that hospital conference room 2 weeks later, I need you to understand something about the Whitmore family. We did not scream in my parents' house. Screaming was considered embarrassing. Cruelty, however, was considered communication. My mother, Eleanor Whitmore, could cut a person in half with a sentence and still sound like she was complimenting the curtains. She had the soft voice of a woman who believed volume was for people without power. She wore cream silk blouses, pearl earrings, and a small gold cross she touched whenever she lied. My father, Richard Whitmore, was not soft. He was absent, in the way some men are present only when they are protecting the wrong person. He had spent 35 years as a financial consultant, and he treated family conflict like a portfolio problem. If one child was inconvenient and the other was profitable to his piece, he invested in the second one. That second one was Vanessa. Vanessa was 28, beautiful in a fragile way, and had learned very young that tears were currency. When Vanessa cried, the room reorganized itself around her. When I cried, my mother told me I was being dramatic. When I was 12, Vanessa broke my violin bow the night before a school recital because she said the sound gave her headaches. My mother told me not to make Vanessa feel worse because she was sensitive. When I was 17, Vanessa crashed my used Honda into the mailbox after taking it without asking. My father told me I should have hidden the keys better. When I was 25, Vanessa got drunk at my apartment, told my boss I was emotionally unstable, and then cried for 3 days because I stopped inviting her over. My mother said, "Madeline, you have always been so hard on your sister." That was the family script. Vanessa felt things. I caused things. Vanessa needed support. I needed to adjust my tone. Vanessa was fragile. I was difficult. By the time I turned 30, I had stopped arguing with the script. I moved 40 minutes away, married Daniel Pierce in a small courthouse ceremony, and built a quiet life that did not need my mother's approval to keep breathing. Daniel was a systems engineer. He worked with hospitals on secure record infrastructure, which meant he understood 2 things better than most people: how people lied, and how badly they lied when they thought computers forgot. I worked at St. Agnes Medical Center as a hospital compliance manager. That title sounds boring unless you know what it really means. It means I investigate unauthorized chart access. It means I know when a doctor opens a patient file he has no medical reason to open. It means I know who changed a note, when they changed it, which workstation they used, whether they printed it, whether they exported it, and whether they thought deleting it would make it disappear. People think hospitals run on medicine. They also run on logs, and logs do not care who your mother is. When I found out I was pregnant, I told Daniel first, of course. He stood in our bathroom holding the little plastic test, like it was made of glass. He did not speak for almost a full minute. Then he sat down on the edge of the bathtub and cried. That was the first time in my adult life I saw a man cry because he was happy, and not because he wanted something from me. We found out it was a boy at 20 weeks. Daniel painted the nursery himself. Soft green walls, white crib, walnut rocking chair, little shelves shaped like clouds, a framed print of a fox sleeping under a moon. It was not expensive in the way my mother respected. It was careful. in the way love is careful when nobody is watching. I did not tell my parents until I was 18 weeks pregnant. Part of me knew better. Part of me still wanted a mother. I invited them to dinner on a Sunday in January. Daniel cooked lemon chicken and roasted potatoes. My mother brought a white tukur or wasi umaingi or a white. Dranger kaiganai arrangement that was too large for our table and placed it in the center, so we had to talk around it. When I told them, my father blinked twice. My mother put one hand to her chest. Vanessa stared at me. For 3 seconds, nobody said anything. Then my mother smiled. It was the smile she used in public when she had not yet decided how angry she was. Well, she said, that is certainly news. Daniel reached for my hand under the table. My father cleared his throat. Congratulations. Vanessa stood up and said she needed air. My mother followed her. That was how my family reacted to my first child. My father said congratulations, like he had signed a sympathy card. My mother left the room to comfort the woman who was not pregnant. When they came back inside, Vanessa's eyes were red. I'm happy for you, she said, but she looked at my stomach like it had stolen something from her. After that dinner, my mother began calling more often. Not to ask how I felt, to make suggestions. Had I considered whether Daniel's family history had any concerns? Had I thought about working full-time after birth? Was I sure my blood pressure was stable? Did my doctor know I had always been high-strung? Had Daniel and I discussed whether we had enough emotional support? At first, I answered. Then I started writing down the questions. That was habit. Compliance work changes how you hear people. You stop listening only to words. You listen for patterns. You listen for repeated phrases. You notice when 3 different people use the same unusual wording in the same week. My mother, my father, and Vanessa all used one phrase by mid-February. Emotionally supported. My mother said, we just want to make sure you are emotionally supported. My father said, pregnancy can be hard on women who are already under pressure. You need emotional support. Vanessa texted, don't shut us out just because we're trying to support you emotionally. I showed Daniel the messages. He read them at the kitchen counter. His jaw tight. They're building language, he said. I looked at him. He looked back at me. Maybe not intentionally, he added, but we both knew he did not believe that. In March, Vanessa announced she was pregnant. She did it at Sunday lunch at my parents' house. I was 26 weeks along by then, visibly pregnant, tired in my hips, and still stupid enough to attend because my mother said she wanted a peaceful family afternoon. Vanessa arrived 20 minutes late, wearing a loose white sweater and holding a gift bag. She waited until dessert. Then she handed my mother a small silver frame. Inside was an ultrasound picture. My mother made a sound I had never heard her make for me. It was not joy. It was relief. Oh, my baby, she whispered, pulling Vanessa into her arms. My father stood and hugged her. Vanessa cried into my mother's shoulder. I looked at the ultrasound from across the table. It was cropped. No patient name visible, no clinic header, no date, no measurement bar, just the image. Daniel's hand found my knee under the table. He squeezed once. My mother turned to me with tears in her eyes. Isn't this wonderful, Madeline? Sisters, pregnant together. I smiled because the alternative was showing every thought on my face. How many weeks are you? I asked. Vanessa dabbed her eyes with a napkin. Enough that Mom is finally happy for one of us, she said. The table went still. My father said, Vanessa. But he said it gently. Not like a warning, like an invitation to rephrase. Vanessa sniffed. I didn't mean it that way. She meant it exactly that way. My mother put one arm around her. She's emotional. Pregnancy hormones. I looked at the ultrasound again. Something in me clicked. Not suspicion yet, just a small door opening. Over the next month, Vanessa became the pregnant daughter my mother had apparently been waiting for. My mother drove her to appointments. My mother posted vague Facebook updates about 2 blessings coming to our family this year, though every photo she shared featured Vanessa. My mother bought Vanessa a maternity dress with pearl buttons and told me she had seen a sale rack at Target if I needed anything practical. Vanessa never posted a full ultrasound, never named her doctor, never answered how far along she was. 1 week, she said she was almost 10 weeks. 2 weeks later, she said she was 15. A week after that, my mother said Vanessa was nearly halfway there, which would have put conception before Vanessa had supposedly started dating the man she claimed was the father. I asked once. Only once. We were in my mother's kitchen. Vanessa was eating strawberries from a glass bowl while my mother arranged tulips in the sink. "Vanessa," I said, "who's your OB?" Her hand froze over the bowl. My mother answered before she did. "Dr. Reeves is advising her." I looked at my mother. "Malcolm Reeves? He has known this family for years." Dr. Malcolm Reeves had delivered half the babies in my mother's social circle. He had also been my gynecologist when I was younger until I transferred my care to another St. Agnes physician after I moved. He was not my current doctor. He had no reason to be near my records. At the time, that thought was only professional irritation. 2 weeks later, it became evidence. It happened on a Thursday morning. I was in my office at St. Agnes reviewing a quarterly report on unusual record access. The system flagged charts open outside an assigned care relationship. Most alerts were harmless. A specialist checking a referral, a nurse opening the wrong patient and closing it in 4 seconds, a physician covering another physician's messages. Then I saw my own name. Whitmore Pierce, Madeline. Accessed 11:42 p.m. User M. Reeves, location, external physician portal. Duration, 6 minutes, 12 seconds. My skin went cold. I clicked into the audit trail. Dr. Malcolm Reeves had opened my prenatal chart, my lab history, my demographic information, my emergency contact list, and my most recent OB note. Then, he had opened the social work tab. I sat very still. There are moments when your personal life and professional life touch in a way that makes the room feel unsafe. This was one of them. Dr. Reeves had no care relationship with me. He had not been consulted, he had not been assigned, he had not been authorized. I did not investigate it myself. That matters. The first rule of compliance is that when you are involved, you preserve and escalate. You do not play detective noir in your own file. I saved the audit ID. I exported the access summary through the proper channel. I sent it to my supervisor, Monica Hale, Director of Legal Compliance at St. Agnes. Then I walked to the bathroom, locked the stall door, and put both hands on my stomach. My son kicked once, hard and low. "I know," I whispered. That night, I told Daniel. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "Your family's doctor opened your chart at midnight and went to the social work tab." Yes. Why would an OB look at the social work tab? I already knew the answer, but I said it anyway. Custody concerns, safety planning, domestic instability. Mental health notes. Anything that could be used to question whether a patient has support. Daniel stood up and walked to the window. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he turned around. "They're not worried about you," he said. "They're building a file against you." I wanted to tell him he was wrong. I wanted to say no family would do that. But the problem with being raised by Eleanor Whitmore was that I had already seen what she could justify when she decided the story required a villain. The baby shower invitation arrived 5 days later. Cream cardstock, pale blue ribbon, embossed silver lettering celebrating the Whitmore babies, plural. I stood in my kitchen holding the invitation while Daniel read it over my shoulder. "Babies," he said. "Yes. But this is your shower." That was my understanding. At the bottom, in smaller print, it said, "Hosted by Eleanor Whitmore in honor of her daughters, Chess Madeline and Vanessa." My name came first only because alphabetical order betrayed my mother. I called her. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Darling." "Mom, why does the invitation say babies?" A pause. The kind of pause my mother used when deciding how much of the truth to punish me with. "Because this family has been blessed twice. Vanessa already has a shower. She is fragile right now, Madeline. She needs to feel included. This was supposed to be for my baby. It still is. The invitation says otherwise." My mother exhaled softly. "Please do not start. You have always had such a possessive streak around family attention." I looked across the kitchen at the half-assembled baby swing Daniel had been putting together. Family attention, I repeated. Yes. Vanessa is scared. She does not have a husband like you do. She does not have a stable home like you do. It would cost you nothing to be generous. There it was. The oldest Whitmore equation. What Vanessa needed would cost me nothing because my mother had already decided my losses did not count. I said, I will come because Dad asked me to come, but I'm not pretending this is normal. My mother's voice cooled. Wear the blue dress, the pale one. White washes you out in photos right now. I almost laughed. Vanessa was wearing white. I did not know that yet, but I heard it in the request. The next Sunday, my mother asked for a key to my house. She did it while standing in my nursery. That is important. She had come over with a basket of folded baby blankets, all beige, all expensive, all selected in colors that did not match anything Daniel and I had chosen. She walked slowly around the nursery, touching the crib rail, the changing table, the little books on the shelf. This is very modest, she said. Daniel, who was installing a dimmer switch, went completely still. I said, we like it. My mother smiled. Of course. Then she opened the closet. I closed it. She turned to me. I should have a spare key before the baby comes. No. Her eyebrows lifted. I had never said no that quickly to her before. For emergencies, she said, Daniel will be here. And if he is not, we have neighbors, doctors, ambulances, phones, and locks that work. That is a very hostile response to a mother offering help. It was a clear response. Her face changed. Not much, but enough. She looked at my stomach. You know, Madeline, this is exactly the kind of rigidity people worry about with new mothers. The word landed exactly where she placed it. Rigidity. Clinical enough to repeat. Vague enough to deny. I smiled. People? She looked away. Everyone wants what is best for the baby. That was the first time my mother said the baby instead of your baby. After she left, Daniel checked every window latch in the house. 2 days later, Monica called me into her office. Monica Hale was 58 years old, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and impossible to intimidate. She had started as a nurse, gone to law school at night, and developed the kind of calm that comes only from having seen powerful people lie badly for decades. She closed the door after I sat down.
We pulled the exit. She say,
We also found something else. She turned her monitor toward me. There was a document draft attached to my chart. Not signed, not finalized, not visible in the main record, but created. Preliminary behavioral health concern note. My ears began to ring. The author line was blank. The template language said, patient demonstrates anxiety-driven maternal instability. Family reports concern regarding rigidity, isolation, and refusal of emotional support. Recommend postpartum social work evaluation if concerns persist. I read it once, then again. Family reports concern rigidity, isolation, refusal of emotional support. Every phrase they had been feeding me for weeks. Monica watched my face. Did you request a behavioral, health consult? No. Did your OB? No. Have you met with social work? No. Do you know why your former family physician's portal would generate a draft note using third-party family language? I looked at her? Yes. Monica leaned back. No. Then I need you to understand something. You are not touching this investigation. I am opening it through legal. We will preserve the chart state, access logs, workstation data, and external portal activity. Do not confront Dr. Reeves. Do not confront your family. Do not mention this to anyone except your husband and your physician. I nodded. My hands were shaking, so I folded them under my stomach. Monica softened slightly. Madeline, are you safe? That question almost broke me. Not because the answer was no, because nobody in my family had ever asked it without preparing to use the answer. I think so, I said. Monica's eyes sharpened. That is not an answer. My husband is with me. My house is secure. My mother asked for a key and I refused. I am going to the baby shower Saturday because if I do not go, they will use it as evidence that I'm unstable. Monica was quiet. Then she said, bring Daniel. I plan to. And Madeline, yes, if they are building a record, they need you to react. I looked at her. Do not give them the reaction. That sentence stayed with me. Do not give them the reaction. On Saturday morning, I woke to a text from Vanessa. Can't wait to celebrate our babies today. Try not to make Mom nervous. I did not answer. Daniel found me in the nursery standing beside the crib. You don't have to go, he said. Yes, I do. No, you really don't. I turned around. If I stay home, my mother tells everyone I had an episode. If I go and leave early, I'm dramatic. If I confront Vanessa, I'm jealous. If I cry, I'm unstable. The only thing they cannot use is calm. Daniel looked like he hated every word because he knew every word was true. He drove us to my parents' house at 1:40 p.m. The baby shower started at 2. My parents lived in a white colonial house with black shutters and a lawn my mother cared about more consistently than she cared about her daughters. The backyard had been transformed, white tents, pale blue flowers, a dessert table, gold-rimmed glasses, a photographer moving between guests. There were 50 people there. Family, church friends, neighbors, women who had known me as a child and still believed my mother's version of me, because correcting them would have required remembering I was a person. The first thing I noticed was the chair. There was one large wicker chair under the floral arch. One. It had a white cushion and a pale gold sash tied around the back. A small sign hung from it. Mama Vanessa. I stopped walking. Daniel saw it at the same time I did. His hand tightened. Around mine. My mother appeared before he could speak. Madeline, she said, kissing the air beside my cheek. You look tired. Hello, Mom. Her eyes flicked to Daniel. Daniel. Eleanor. There was no warmth in either name. I looked at the chair. My mother followed my gaze and smiled. Oh, don't be difficult. Vanessa has been very nauseous. She needs the supportive chair. Chum, you can sit with the cousins. At my baby shower? Our baby shower, she corrected. Behind her, Vanessa stepped out of the house. She was wearing white, a flowing white dress with lace sleeves and a satin ribbon tied above her stomach. Her stomach looked round. Too round for the timeline she had given. Too smooth. Too high. I had spent months watching my body become unfamiliar to me in real ways. The weight, the shift, the pressure, the way my hand found my belly before my brain asked it to. 2. Vanessa held her stomach like an actress hitting a mark. My mother rushed to her. There she is, someone said. Our brave girl. Vanessa smiled, then she saw me. For a second, the smile became something else. Victory. She walked over slowly. Maddie, she said, using the nickname I hated. You came. It is my shower. Her smile widened. Of course. She hugged me lightly, barely touching my belly. As she pulled away, I saw the bracelet, yellow, on her right wrist, hospital band. She noticed me looking and tucked her hand into the fold of her dress. Too late. I had already seen the prefix. DI-7. Diagnostic imaging. Outpatient. Non-obstetric. My face did nothing. That is a skill. My job had taught me to keep my expression still when someone accidentally handed me the first page of their confession. The afternoon got worse slowly. That was how my mother preferred to hurt people. Not all at once. Slowly. So if you objected, you looked petty. The first game was advice for the new mom. Every card was handed to Vanessa first. The second game was guessing baby food flavors. My mother asked Vanessa to sit in the special chair, then told me I could help pass jars around, since moving might be good for my circulation. Daniel stood immediately. I'll pass them. My mother smiled. That is very kind, but this is really a women's activity. I said, Daniel can pass jars. He did. My Aunt Lydia asked me whether I plan to quit my job. No, I said. She raised her eyebrows. That seems ambitious. Vanessa said from the special chair, some women become mothers. Some women just become pregnant. A few people laughed. Daniel's face went flat. My mother pretended not to hear. My father stood near the drink table with a glass of iced tea, looking uncomfortable enough to be useless. At 3:15, the photographer gathered us for pictures. My mother placed Vanessa in the center. I stood beside her. Then my mother gently touched my elbow. Maybe angle your body a little, sweetheart. Your stomach is very prominent from that side. I looked at her. I'm 34 weeks pregnant. Yes, but we want everyone to look their best. Vanessa lowered her eyes and smiled. I angled my body, not because my mother had won, because the photographer's camera was recording. At 3:40, I went inside to use the bathroom. On my way back, I heard voices from my father's study. The door was not fully closed. My mother's voice came first. She refused the key. Then my father. We do not need the key if the hospital documentation is enough. My heartbeat slowed. Not quickened, slowed. That happens to me when something becomes clear. Dr. Reeves spoke next. I recognized his voice immediately. Do not use the word unstable in writing again. Use support concerns. Use maternal rigidity. Those phrases are harder to challenge. I stood in the hallway with one hand on the wall and my other hand on my stomach. Then Vanessa said, after she has the baby, how fast can we file? Dr. Reeves answered, if there is an incident during delivery or postpartum, immediately. If not, you need documented concern from multiple family members. My mother said, the shower will help. The shower will help. Not celebrate. Help. I lifted my phone from my dress pocket. I did not record. Maryland has consent laws, and I knew better than to create evidence with a question mark over it. Instead, I took a photo of the hallway, the study door, the shoes visible through the gap, my mother's beige heels, my father's brown loafers, Vanessa's white sandals, Dr. Reeves's black dress shoes. Then I walked into the kitchen and asked a caterer for water like my whole life had not just changed shape. Outside, Daniel saw my face. He came to me immediately. What happened? Not here. His eyes went to the house. Madeline. Not here, I repeated. At 4:05, my mother tapped a spoon against a glass. Everyone turned. Before gifts, she said, Richard and I have something special. My father looked like he wanted to disappear. That was not innocence. That was cowardice recognizing consequences too late. My mother reached under the gift table and lifted a small white box tied with gold ribbon. She carried it to Vanessa. Vanessa placed one hand dramatically over her stomach. My mother turned to the guests. When a family is blessed, it must decide how to gather around that blessing. Some daughters are independent. They build their own lives. They insist they need no one. She looked at me. I felt Daniel shift beside me. But some daughters allow themselves to be loved. Some daughters understand that family is not about control. It is about belonging. She opened the box. Inside was a key on a gold ribbon. Not the actual house key. My mother did not have that. A symbolic key. A prop. I knew it because the top was engraved. Nursery. My mother lifted it high enough for the photographer. Richard and I have decided that the nursery Madeline created will become Vanessa's family nursery after the baby comes. Vanessa deserves a room for a baby this family can actually celebrate. The silence was immediate. Even people who had been willing to laugh at smaller cuts understood this one had blood on it. My face went warm. My hands went cold. Vanessa stood. She took the key. She turned toward me and she smiled. Not sadly, not nervously, openly. Your baby won't need a nursery if no one in this family accepts him. A woman near the punch bowl gasped. My Aunt Lydia whispered, Vanessa. My father stared at the patio stones. My mother said nothing. She had written the line, or at least approved it. Daniel stood, his chair scraped. I put my hand on his wrist. He looked down at me. His eyes were furious. I shook my head once. Do not give them the reaction. I stepped forward. The whole yard watched me. My voice was calm. Vanessa, I said. Who put that bracelet on you? For the first time all day, she stopped performing. Only for half a second. But half a second can be enough. Her hand went to her wrist. My mother's eyes sharpened. What bracelet? She said too quickly. The yellow one, I said. From diagnostic imaging. Vanessa laughed. It was a bad laugh. Too high. I had an appointment. With obstetrics? Yes. At St. Agnes? Yes. Then why are you wearing a diagnostic imaging outpatient band? Nobody moved. The photographer lowered his camera. Vanessa's mouth opened. My mother stepped between us. Madeline, this is exactly what I mean. You turn everything into an investigation. I looked at her. No, I said. I turn investigations into evidence. My father said, that is enough. It was the first firm thing he had said all afternoon. Of course, it was to me. Daniel took my hand. We're leaving, he said. My mother's face hardened. If you leave now, you prove everything we have been worried about. There it was, the trap with the door open. I looked at the guests, at the cousins, at the church women, at the photographer, at Dr. Reeves, watching from the back patio door. Then I looked at my mother. Good, I said. Then make sure everyone remembers exactly what I proved. I walked out. Daniel drove us home in silence for the first 10 minutes. Then he pulled into a grocery store parking lot, stopped the car, and turned toward me. Are you okay? No. Is the baby moving? As if answering him. Our son kicked under my ribs. I laughed once. It sounded broken. Yes. Daniel closed his eyes. Then he opened them. I want to go back there. I know. I want to put your father through a wall. I know. I want to ask your mother what kind of woman does that to her pregnant daughter. I know. He gripped the steering wheel. And I won't. Because you're going to tell me that if I do, they get exactly what they want. I touched his hand. If we yell tonight, they get the unstable mother they've been trying to create, he breathed out slowly. Then what do we do? I looked out at the grocery store windows reflecting the sunset. We preserve. That night, we built the timeline. Daniel copied every text from my mother, father, and Vanessa into a secured folder. I saved the baby shower invitation, screenshots of Vanessa's cropped ultrasound posts, photos from the event that relatives had already uploaded, and the picture I had taken in the hallway outside my father's study. One cousin had posted a video of the key moment. She probably thought she was capturing a dramatic family memory. She captured my mother's entire speech. She captured Vanessa's line. She captured my question about the bracelet. She captured Vanessa touching her wrist. Daniel downloaded it before anyone could ask her to remove it. At 11:18 p.m., my mother called. I did not answer. At 11:20, she called Daniel. He did not answer. At 11:24, she left me a voicemail. Her voice was soft and poisonous. Madeline, today was very upsetting for everyone. Your behavior frightened people. Vanessa has been crying for hours. I think this is a good example of why your father and I have concerns. We love you, but love means telling the truth. Please call me before this becomes something you cannot undo. I saved it. At 11:31, my father texted, Your mother is devastated. You owe your sister an apology. I saved that too. Vanessa posted at midnight. Some people cannot let another woman be loved without trying to destroy her. Under it, my mother commented, Protect your peace, sweetheart. Your real family knows your heart. I saved that too. On Monday morning, I met Monica Hale at 7:30. I had not slept much. My ankles were swollen. My back hurt. My son had spent the night pressing his foot into my ribs like he was also trying to leave my family. Monica listened without interrupting. I gave her the timeline, the invitation, the video, the photos, the voicemail, and the screenshot of Vanessa's bracelet from the cousin's video. When I got to the hallway conversation, Monica raised one hand. You did not record audio? No. Good. I took a photo of the partially open door and visible shoes. Better. I slid the picture across her desk. She studied it. That is Reeves? Yes. You're certain? I know his voice. And those are his shoes in a house where he had no reason to be during my baby shower. Monica's mouth tightened. We already found more. My stomach dropped. She opened a file on her tablet. After your report, legal authorized a deeper audit. Reeves accessed your chart 3 times? Not once. The late night access you saw? Then again, 2 days before the shower. Then once the morning of the shower. I closed my eyes. What did he open? Your prenatal labs? OB notes? Social work tab? Emergency contacts? Insurance information? Delivery plan? My voice came out flat. Delivery plan? Yes. That was the moment fear became something harder. My delivery plan listed my hospital preference, emergency contact, support person, and visitor restrictions. Reeves had no reason to see it. My mother wanted a key to my house. My family wanted documentation. My former doctor accessed my delivery plan. Monica continued. We also found a behavioral health note template generated under a staff account that was inactive at the time. Whose account? Andrea Cole. I looked up. Nurse Andrea? You know her? Not personally. She works outpatient intake sometimes. She says she did not create it. Do you believe her?
I believe the login came from satellite office during a time she was clocked in at St.
Agnes main campus. Someone had used her credentials. Monica tapped the file. And there is one more thing. She turned the tablet toward me. It was an ultrasound image. The same image Vanessa had put in the silver frame. But this version had metadata, downloaded from a public pregnancy form 6 years earlier. I stared at it. The room seemed to tilt, then settle. She was never pregnant, I said. Monica did not soften it. We have no evidence that Vanessa Whitmore has received prenatal care at St. Agnes. We do have evidence she visited diagnostic imaging on Saturday morning for a non-obstetric abdominal scan and recommended follow-up. The bracelet. Yes. What was the scan for? Monica hesitated. Madeline. That is her protected health information. I cannot disclose clinical details that are not part of your case. I nodded automatically. She respected the line. Even with Vanessa, especially with Vanessa. But, Monica said, I can tell you this, it was not prenatal care. I put both hands over my stomach. Monica leaned forward. I need to ask you directly. Do you believe your family intended to interfere with your custody or medical decision-making after delivery? Yes. Do you have any reason to believe they may attempt access to you during labor? Yes. Then we are moving from chart privacy into patient safety. By noon, my OB had updated my delivery file. No visitors except Daniel. No information by phone. No patient room disclosure. Security alert attached. Password required for any updates. My mother called 4 times that afternoon. I did not answer. Vanessa texted, Mom says you're trying to ruin me. You always hated that I was easier to love. I wrote back one sentence. Vanessa, stop using fake medical documents. She did not respond for 19 minutes. Then she wrote, You're insane. I saved it. Over the next week, the investigation moved faster than my family expected, because my family had made one arrogant mistake. They believed hospitals were like living rooms. They believed if the right person said the right thing in the right tone, the story would become true. But hospitals do not work that way. Every access leaves a trail. Every printed page has a timestamp. Every external portal login carries an IP address. Every badge entry knows which door opened. Every workstation knows which user sat down and when. By Wednesday, Monica had enough to suspend Dr. Reeves's external portal privileges. By Thursday, legal had contacted his practice. By Friday, Nurse Andrea Cole requested a private meeting. I was not supposed to be part of the investigation, so Monica asked if I wanted to receive only a summary. I said no. Then, I changed my mind. I was tired. I was pregnant. I was angry enough to make mistakes. Summary? I said. Monica nodded like that was the answer she had hoped I would give. Andrea's summary was simple. She had checked Vanessa in twice at Reeves's satellite clinic. The first time, Vanessa claimed to be pregnant but refused a urine confirmation test because she said it was emotionally invasive. The second time, she came with Eleanor. Eleanor did most of the talking. Vanessa cried. Reeves told Andrea to create a general intake note, but not to ask unnecessary questions. Andrea did not like it. Later, she saw a behavioral health concern note under her name in Madeline Whitmore's chart. She reported it internally. That report had gone into a queue Monica's team was already reviewing when I found the access. Andrea had been the first person outside my family to see the shape of the lie. I asked Monica to thank her. Monica said, She knows. The following Monday, my mother came to St. Maul. Agnes, she wore navy. She always wore navy when she wanted to be taken seriously. She went to the front desk and asked for Monica Hale by name. When Monica refused the meeting, my mother said she was there regarding concerns about her daughter's mental state. The receptionist did exactly what trained staff do. She alerted security. My mother left before they reached the lobby, but not before she said, loudly enough for 2 employees to document it, when something happens to that baby, this hospital will be responsible for ignoring his real family. His real family. The phrase made it into the incident report. That same evening, my father called Daniel. Daniel put it on speaker and recorded only after stating, "Richard, I am putting this call on speaker. Madeline is here. Do not continue if you do not consent." My father continued. That was his mistake. "Daniel," he said, "I am asking you, man to man, to get control of this situation." Daniel's voice was ice. "Careful, my daughter is not well. She is sitting beside me. Then she can hear me." "Madeline, you are being vindictive. Vanessa made an emotional mistake. Your mother tried to create unity, and you turned it into a legal threat." I said nothing. My father went on. "You have always needed to win. But this is a baby. This is not one of your hospital audits." I leaned toward the phone. "Dad," he stopped. "Did you discuss filing for emergency family placement after my delivery?" Silence, not denial. Silence. Then he said, "Your mother and I explored options in case your behavior escalated." Daniel's hand closed over mine. My father kept talking. "You should be grateful we were thinking ahead," I said. "Thank you," he sounded confused. "For what?" "For confirming the timeline." Daniel ended the call. 2 days later, Monica called me. "Conference room B, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. You will not lead. You will not question witnesses. You may attend as the affected patient with counsel present." Counsel? Hospital counsel. And your personal attorney, if you have one. Daniel found one in 4 hours. Her name was Priya Shah. She was a family law attorney with a calm voice and a terrifying email style. She reviewed the documents that evening at our kitchen table while Daniel made tea nobody drank. When she first said, "Your family may not have filed anything yet, but they appear to have been preparing to create a record that could support intervention after birth." I nodded. Priya continued. "The forged or unauthorized medical documentation is the most serious piece. The public humiliation helps establish pattern. The voicemail helps. Your father's call helps. The hospital lobby incident helps. The attempted access to your delivery plan helps." She closed the folder. "You are not overreacting. You are underreacting very intelligently." That was the nicest thing anyone had said to me in weeks. The conference room at St. Agnes had no windows. That felt appropriate. At 9:55 the next morning, I sat on one side of the table with Daniel and Priya. Monica sat beside hospital counsel. Security stood outside the door. Malcolm Reeves arrived at 9:58. He looked older than I remembered. Not guilty, just inconvenienced. My mother arrived at 10:03 with my father and Vanessa. Vanessa wore a loose cardigan and no visible bracelet. My mother saw me and immediately put on her wounded face. "Madeline," she whispered, "how could you do this?" Priya leaned slightly forward. "Mrs. Whitmore, do not address my client directly." My mother blinked. She was not used to women like Priya. "Women who did not absorb tone as authority," Monica began. "This meeting concerns unauthorized access to patient records, suspected credential misuse, falsified documentation, and patient safety concerns regarding Madeline Whitmore Pierce." My mother said, "This is a family matter." Monica looked at her. "No, it is not." The room changed. Just a little, but enough. Monica placed the first document on the table. "Dr. Reeves, on March 28th at 11:42 p.m., you accessed Mrs. Whitmore Pierce's prenatal chart without a documented care relationship. Please explain the clinical reason." Dr. Reeves adjusted his cuff. "I had historical familiarity with the patient." Monica waited. That is not a clinical reason. He said, the family expressed concern. Monica placed another page down. Which family member? Dr. Reeves glanced at my mother. My mother stared straight ahead. He said, Mrs. Eleanor Whitmore. Monica placed the third page down upon you. This is a behavioral health concern note generated from a staff account that was not physically present at the workstation used. Did you instruct anyone to create this note? No. Monica placed another page down. Did you create it yourself? No. Did you provide language for it? No. Monica opened a folder. Interesting, because the draft uses the phrases maternal rigidity, refusal of emotional support, and family concern. Those same phrases appear in emails sent by Eleanor Whitmore to your office assistant on March 30th, April 3rd, and April 7th. My mother's face lost color. I had not known about the emails. That was the benefit of not investigating your own case. Other people find things you could not legally touch. Monica placed the emails on the table. My mother said, I was worried about my daughter. Priya said, then you should have called her actual physician. My mother turned to her. I am her. Oh, mother, Priya said, that is not a medical credential. Dr. Reeves shifted in his chair. Monica continued. Vanessa Whitmore. Vanessa looked up. Her eyes were already wet. Yes? Did you provide this ultrasound image to your mother and represent it as your pregnancy? Vanessa's lower lip trembled. My personal medical situation is private. It is, Monica said, which is why I will not ask whether you are pregnant. I will ask only whether you represented a public internet image as your own medical record in connection with a family claim about Mrs. Whitmore Pierce's stability. Vanessa started crying. My mother put an arm around her. This is abusive, my mother said. She is pregnant. Monica looked at hospital counsel. Hospital counsel placed a color print on the table. It was the ultrasound image. Beside it was the source page from the pregnancy forum. 6 years old, same image, same crop before Vanessa had cropped it further. Nobody spoke. Then Daniel laughed once. Not because it was funny, because sometimes the body rejects rage and produces the wrong sound. My mother snapped, How dare you? Daniel looked at her. No. How dare you? Priya touched his arm lightly. He stopped. Monica placed the next document down. Vanessa checked into diagnostic imaging on the morning of the baby shower. She wore the wristband at the event. Mrs. Whitmore Pierce identified the discrepancy publicly. That discrepancy is what triggered additional patient safety review. Vanessa whispered, She humiliated me. For the first time I spoke. No, I said, you used my baby shower to tell my unborn son he was not family. I asked about your bracelet. My mother said, You always twist things. I looked at her. Mom, you gave away a nursery you did not own to a baby Vanessa could not prove existed. Her mouth tightened. You have no idea what your sister has suffered. I know exactly what she made me suffer. My father finally spoke. This has gone far enough. Monica turned to him. Mr. Whitmore, you stated on a recorded call that you and your wife explored emergency family placement options in case Mrs. Whitmore Pierce's behavior escalated. Did you obtain any legal advice regarding that? My father looked at me. I looked back. He said, We were protecting the child. Priya opened her folder. From what? From instability. What instability? He hesitated. Priya didn't. Her full-time employment? Her stable marriage? Her prenatal compliance? Her secure home? Her refusal to give you a key? Or her objection to being publicly humiliated at her own baby shower? My father said nothing. Priya placed the baby shower transcript on the table. Yes, transcript. The cousin's video had been professionally transcribed. My mother's speech, Vanessa's line, my question. My mother saying I was making everything an investigation. Priya tapped the page. Because from where I sit, the only documented instability is coming from the people who tried to manufacture medical concern after being denied access. Dr. Reeves stood. I think I need counsel. Monica said, That is your right. Your privileges through St. Agnes External Systems are suspended pending formal review. The matter is being referred to the State Medical Board and, depending on findings, law enforcement. Vanessa made a small sound. My mother's arm tightened around her. I watched it happen with a strange, quiet grief. Even now, even with the proof on the table. My mother reached for Vanessa first, not me. Not the daughter whose medical chart had been opened, not the pregnant woman whose delivery plan had been accessed, not the baby they claimed to protect. Vanessa. My father leaned toward yeah. Madeline, please, we can handle this privately. I looked at him for a long time. Then I said, you had a private chance when Mom asked for my house key. He looked away. I turned to Vanessa. She was crying into a tissue. You can fake tears in my mother's kitchen, I said. You can fake a belly at my baby shower. But you cannot fake a hospital audit trail. My mother stood. You cruel, cruel girl. That almost made me smile. Not because it did not hurt, because it was perfect. I was cruel for noticing. I was cruel for preserving. I was cruel for surviving the plan loudly enough to prove it existed. Monica closed the folder. This meeting is over. But it was not over. Not for them. By the end of that week, Dr. Reeves's name was removed from the St. Agnes External Physician Directory pending investigation. His practice released a vague statement about administrative review. The medical board acknowledged receipt of a complaint. Priya filed a formal notice putting my parents on record. No contact at the hospital, no attempts to access medical information, no claims of family placement, no communication except through counsel. My OB documented that I had no clinical indicators of maternal instability and that all concerns raised by third parties appeared unsupported by medical evidence. That sentence mattered. Unsupported by medical evidence. My mother had spent months trying to create a cloud. My doctor wrote one line and cleared the room. Vanessa disappeared from social media for 9 days. Then she posted a black square with the words, "Healing from betrayal." Nobody in my family commented publicly. Privately, the calls began. Aunt Lydia called first. I almost did not answer. When I did, she cried. I should have stopped it, she said. Yes, I said. She cried harder. I did not comfort her. That is another thing I learned after the baby shower. Sometimes people apologize because they're sorry. Sometimes they apologize because they want you to rescue them from the discomfort of seeing themselves clearly. I was too pregnant and too tired to rescue anyone. My father sent one email. Subject line: Family, Madeline, your mother is not sleeping. Vanessa is in a fragile state. I understand mistakes were made, but I urge you to consider whether destroying your family weeks before giving birth is truly what you want. Your son will one day ask where his grandparents are. I hope you're prepared to answer him. Dad. I read it twice. Then I forwarded it to Priya. Then I wrote one response. My son will know exactly where his grandparents are, away from the people they tried to harm. I did not send anything else. My mother sent flowers to the hospital administration office, not to me, to Monica. White lilies. The card said, I hope one day you understand what desperate mothers do for their children. Monica sent them back. No note. Just returned. I loved her for that. 3 weeks after the conference room meeting, my water broke at 2:13 in the morning. It was not dramatic. I stood up to use the bathroom and froze. Daniel, who had been half asleep, sat upright immediately. Is it time? I looked at him. I think it's time. He moved like a man who had rehearsed in his head every night for a month. Bag, phone, shoes, towel on the passenger seat, call to the OB, password confirmed, hospital notified, on the drive to St. Agnes. The city was dark and quiet. No family group chat, no mother calling, no father advising, no sister crying louder than the person in labor, just Daniel's hand on mine and our son deciding he was ready. At the hospital entrance, security already had our file. The nurse at check-in smiled. Good morning, Mrs. Whitmore Pierce. We have your privacy restrictions in place. Only Daniel Pierce is listed as your support person. I cried then. Not from pain. Not yet. From relief. Do you know what it feels like to be protected by a system after being endangered by a family? It feels like air. Labor lasted 14 hours. Daniel counted through contractions with me. My OB was calm. The nurses were kind. At one point, around hour 9, Daniel looked at the door like he expected my mother to appear through force of habit. She did not. Security had turned her away downstairs. I learned that later. She arrived with a blue gift bag and told the front desk she was the real emergency contact. The front desk asked for the password. She did not have it, so she left. For once, a locked door stayed locked. Our son was born at 4:46 p.m., 7 pounds, 1 ounce. Furious lungs. Daniel cut the cord with shaking hands. When they placed the baby on my chest, the world narrowed to warmth, weight, and sound. His name was Noah Pierce, not Whitmore. Pierce. Daniel kissed my forehead and whispered, "He's here." I looked down at my son. He had Daniel's mouth, my chin, his own opinion about everything. I had spent months afraid my family would take something from that moment. They did not. They were not in the room. Their absence was not empty. It, was clean. Later that night, after the nurses dimmed the lights and Daniel fell asleep in the chair beside me, I held Noah against my chest and thought about the nursery key, the fake one, the gold ribbon, the way my mother had lifted it like a blessing, the way Vanessa had smiled, as if a room could be stolen by announcing it. They never understood the nursery. They thought it was walls, paint, furniture, a room in a house they wanted access to. But the nursery was never just a room. It was proof that before my son took his first breath, he was wanted. Not by everyone, by the right people. 2 days after Noah was born, Priya forwarded me a message from my father's attorney. My parents wanted mediation. They wanted a path toward reconciliation. They wanted to meet their grandson. They wanted to move forward without blame. I looked at Noah sleeping in the bassinet. Then I wrote back, "No." One word. Complete sentence. 6 weeks later, Dr. Reeves's suspension became public within the hospital system. I do not know what happened to his private practice after that. I did not follow it closely. That surprises people when I tell them. But revenge was never the point. Protection was. Vanessa eventually admitted to exaggerating her pregnancy in a private family conversation that 3 different relatives later tried to describe to me as a mental health crisis. Maybe it was. Maybe it was not. Both things can be true. Someone can be unwell and they can still be responsible for the harm they caused. My mother never admitted she knew. She said she had been misled. She said she had only wanted to support both daughters. She said I weaponized my job. She said I chose paperwork over family. That last one made me laugh. Because yes, I chose the paperwork. I chose the logs. I chose the timestamp. I chose the nurse's statement. I chose the access report. I chose the delivery restrictions. I chose every cold, clean piece of evidence over the warm, rotten version of family my mother kept trying to sell me. And because I chose paperwork, my son came home to the nursery Daniel painted. The green walls, the white crib, the little fox under the moon, no gold ribbon, no symbolic key, no grandmother arranging herself in the center of the room, just peace. On Noah's first night home, I sat in the rocking chair while Daniel warmed a bottle downstairs. The house was quiet in the fragile way houses are quiet around newborns. My phone lit up on the small table beside me. A message from my mother. No greeting, no apology, just a photo. It was the old Maybrow Chow Ebrow celebrating the Whitmore babies. Under it, she had written, "This could have been beautiful if you had let it." I looked at the message for a long time. Then I blocked her. Not because I hated her. Hate would have kept a room for her. I blocked her because my son was sleeping against my chest, and I finally understood something my family had spent my whole life making sure I never learned. Peace is not something they give you. It is something you stop handing back. A year later, Noah took his first steps in that nursery. He wobbled from Daniel's hands to mine, laughing like gravity was a family joke he had just learned. For a second, I saw the whole road behind us. The white tent, the gold key, the yellow bracelet, the conference room, the hospital door my mother could not open. Then Noah crashed into my knees and shouted something that was not yet a word, but meant victory anyway. People ask me sometimes whether I regret exposing them. I do not. I regret attending the shower. I regret every year I mistook endurance for love. I regret letting my mother teach me that calm meant silence, because calm does not mean silence. Calm means choosing the right moment to speak. Calm means knowing the difference between revenge and evidence. Calm means letting people finish their performance before you turn on the lights. My family tried to give my baby's room away before he took his first breath. In the end, they lost every room they had left in my life. And my son never had to grow up begging to belong in a family that treated love like property. He was born wanted. He came home protected. And the first door I ever truly closed for him was the one my mother thought she had a right to unlock.